Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Early Edge. Happy Tuesday to everyone out there. This show brought to you by BetMGM. Make it legendary. Got Christian Hastings in the chat. Jeff Stenberg, who hit his play yesterday on Merrill, I believe. Richard Pierre, Martin Pesquera, Mark Buckholz. Thanks for being in here. Let's see how we did yesterday on a Monday Night Football heavy day. But we had other picks too, of course. 7-3. It's been a lot of winning days as of late. We will take this every single time. Look at the left side of that screen. Will Brinson joins the morning show in a casual 2-0. I got to say, Larry probably should hit both of his picks. Devontae sticks on 4 catches, but certainly got the yards there. Sportsline picks go 1 out of 2 as the NHL pick loses, but Bruce Marshall hits his pick. Let's bring in the stars of the show. We've got a great Tuesday ahead of us because we've got Jeff Hochman. We've got Chip Patterson, and we've got buckets. Chip, I mean, I'm surprised. I'm cheating, and I'm looking ahead a little bit. Not only do you have a Tuesday football pick, but are we starting with some college basketball now?
You know, the crossover season has truly begun, Sia. I found myself last week, right? And I was like kind of itching, right? Even Tom Casale was on the show, and I was like, oh man, like I'm ready to get back in. I'm ready to crunch those chipalytics. And so, this morning, last night, I'd kind of identified the Maction play that I wanted for tonight. But then this morning, I was looking at the slate, so many good college basketball games, and I was able to get in a last-minute pick. And little tease here for when we get to it, you can watch it on CBS Sports Network.
Oh, you got to love that. Jeff Hochman, there's a lot of people in the chat, including Rick Funkanen, that are very excited to see you. I guess they're anticipating some NHL picks. Either way, how are you today, buddy?
Thanks, Sia. Yeah, it's always great to be here with the Early Edge family, giving out winners for everybody. We do have some NHL winners today, one to be in fact. And before we get started, I do want to wish on this Veterans Day, we honor and thank everybody who served, past and present. Truly remarkable what they do for our country, and lets us enjoy the freedom that we all do. But let's have a banger. I want an all green Wednesday recap screen.
Let's go.
Let's do that. And I appreciate you acknowledging Veterans Day as well, Jeff Hochman. Buckets, how you doing today? We've got some soccer picks. And by the way, we have a graphic that we're going to show in about 5 or 10 minutes related to a Splash Sports contest that is absolutely free, where you can all win money. And it's a football contest. It's like a pick 'em. You're just picking games. It's super easy. And Buckets, you're on that graphic. Are you our newest NFL expert?
Absolutely not. I don't know why I'm on that graphic, but I'm happy to be a part of anything as always. I do have a football related question though, as this is my first season kind of delving into the NFL season. Is it normal for every prime time match to be incredibly boring? Is that just kind of what they do on purpose, or is it just an off year? I feel like it's 4 weeks in a row now.
It is a little ironic, but it's a fair statement that the soccer guy is talking about American football being boring. It's been pretty bad, Chip. So last night's game, they just basically didn't know how to score, or it was almost like they didn't want to score. They were not interested. It was like a golf situation going on in terms of just staying negative. But the Sunday night game was bad. The 3-4 o'clock games on Sunday were really bad, really lopsided. Some scoring, but really lopsided. It's been, Buckets is right. It's been a bad run just for the last 12 to 16, I should say 24 to 36 hours for the NFL.
Everybody's got tape on everybody. We are truly at that time. And especially if you've got a couple injury issues and you've got obvious weaknesses that can get exposed. If you are of similar caliber, it's going to be really tough to break those stalemates. And if you are far apart, oh, buddy, your weaknesses are going to get exposed. And so it is not surprising to me that we found ourselves in that kind of position. Though Buckets, even though Serie A is averaging 1.2 goals per game, did you see my boys Fiorentina with the new manager, a little 2-2 draw on the road? Can we hear it for Forza Viola?
Oh man, no, Sia, you're spot on with the how dare I call American football boring as a Serie A fan. Chip, we had a run where it was 4-0-0 games in a row this weekend, and it's just it's tough to argue that. So I get it.
Well, how about
it seems like the primetime unders are back hitting now. Remember, there was a stretch where it would go over, and last year it was all unders. Seems to be back in the unders now.
But my theory, my first response is one thing that I do think that we are in. Everybody's got tape on everybody. you know?
Yeah, it's true.
Books out. So you better be special, truly special, or have injury issues or be able to expose somebody else's injury issues.
I feel
Coaching
like
matters, right? Later in the league. Or
I feel
later
like
in
what
the
you're
year.
saying, Chip, is that Jalen Hurts and Jordan Love aren't special. I didn't say it. He said it. Buckets, talk to me about our first pick of the day. Talk to me about a soccer pick. We're going to the women's UCL.
We are, Sia. This is one of those days where less is more. You don't want to force a bunch of plays. You don't want to have, one of my classic 3 or 4 play days. My goal was just to find one play that I really, really liked, get that one check mark. That way I'm keeping Jeff's all check mark thing alive for tomorrow's recap screen. And to do that, I'm going against head-to-head history, which is a little bit tricky. I'm looking at the matchup between Olympic Lyonnais taking on Wolfsburg, and to shock nobody here, I'm going with the classic of both teams to score because it's playable right now at -110 in a match where the over is set to almost 4.5. The books think that this is going to be an absolute bloodbath with Olympic Lyonnais absolutely dominating that game. And that makes sense when you look when they played last year in Champions League. Lyonnais won those matches 1-0 and 2-0. But we've got a different Wolfsburg side right now. We've got a Wolfsburg side that is saying, we do not care about sitting back. We are playing very, very, very high lines, and we are going for goals. You look at their team. Alexander Pop has been incredible. Lynette Berstevian has been incredible. Janina has been incredible. This team's attack has been really, really, really strong. And I think Olympic Lyon, for how good they are going to be a bit challenged in this one. They're -600 favorites, and I don't think they're going to play like -600 favorites. Them at home is a really big deal, but I just think Wolfsburg are a good enough team to give this closer than the books think. So I'm going with both teams to score here. Even though it hasn't hit in the last 2, I think we see that switch up this afternoon.
All right. We're going with both teams to score. That looks familiar, Buckets. Let's transition to some college football for Tuesday night, Chip Patterson, and some college basketball. You've got the floor, my friend.
All right, so we're going to start in some Maction. And look, there is another game, Ohio, Western Michigan, that legitimately might be like snowball. So that is going to look awesome. However, with what we saw from Ohio, luck boxing their way to a win against Miami, Ohio, I'm not ready to jump on Western Michigan just because what we might be seeing from Parker Navarro and Ohio just might not be one a train you want to get in front of. So I am targeting, admittedly, the game of a little bit lesser caliber. These teams are not as good as Ohio and Western Michigan. The game might be a little bit uglier, but that might help us in this bet. So we are going to be targeting the Kent State Akron first half under 23.5. 2 reasons for that. Number 1 has to do with, yes, the weather. And while it's not going to be the snowball that's going to be so much fun to watch on TV, when we are in Infocision Stadium, we're going to have 35-mile-an-hour crosswinds. No, excuse me. We're going to have 15-mile-an-hour crosswinds. We've got temperatures down in the low 30s, and we have uniquely high humidity. So that means we're going to be swirling all around. Out of one end zone, it is wide open. Out of the other end zone, it is blocked. This is going to get a little bit crazy. Now you're going to say, hey, Chip, both of these offenses stink. What does wind have to do with that? Well, if you're all of a sudden stalling out in the red zone, you got to kick a field goal. Do you think swirling winds are going to impact some field goal kickers? You're darn right. Also, this is the Rock Me Mama Like a Wagon Wheel circa 2005 if you're Old Crow Medicine Show, circa the early 2010s if you're more of the Darius Rucker type. But either way, this is the wagon wheel rivalry. And what do we always like to target when it comes to rivalry games? Things get a little bit tight. Everybody's trying to fight for every little inch. So because it's a rivalry, because we got some swirling winds, and because these two offenses stink when it comes to putting it in the end zone and scoring position, we go with the first half under 23.5. Then we're going to take it over to the hardwood. We're going to take it to CBS Sports Network, where we have on Veterans Day, the Duke Blue Devils going to play the Army Black Knights. And this is going to be, I believe it's Christie Arena. Checking. Yes, Christie Arena in West Point, New York. Of course, this is a game that means a ton to the Duke Blue Devils. Why? Because Mike Krzyzewski served for the United States Military Academy and was also the head coach of Army. So there is that connection there, and I'm sure we're going to talk about it a lot on the broadcast. However, the game itself clearly lopsided. That's why you've got a 31-point spread. But here is where I think we've got a little bit of a misconception, because it's not about, oh, is John Shire going to try to take it easy on Army? No, it's what does John Shire want to see from his team? Because this Duke team under John Shire, and I'm not quite sure if the market's all the way caught up to it, is elite defensively, and that is their front foot. That is what John Shire wants from this group. He is defense first, and then let the future NBA talent take over when they need to. So I'm going to say maybe the young boys, freshmen like Cameron and Caden Boozer, Bongo, like the rest of that crowd, maybe they aren't getting the offense clicking. Army already is a team that plays with a slow pace. And if you do think that John Shire is going to call off the dogs and put the subs in, I'll tell you what he doesn't want to see the subs do is give up easy buckets. So Duke stays locked in no matter who's on the floor on the defensive side for 40 daggum minutes. And this ends up going under 50.5.
Wow, that was really impressive. Did that wake you up on a Tuesday, ladies and gentlemen? Because it certainly woke me up a little bit. Go ahead, Buckets.
I got a question for Chip, if you will entertain me here.
Of course.
Big in the soccer/football world, people will reference head-to-head history. That's a big focal point when people give out a lot of bets because they play a certain style. They play, when Real Madrid plays Barcelona, you always see goals regardless of the squads. Does head-to-head history really play a role in something like college football, or does the players rotating out so frequently not really matter in a situation like that? Like if I'm looking at Akron, Kent State's recent 5 matches or whatever, does that play into effect of how they're going to play tonight?
I do think it matters if the head coaches, because the head coaches are the ones that are putting in the schemes and deciding on things like tempo, just sort of general approach. So yeah, like there are certain coaches and certain games that when they get together, you're like, oh, that's an over, Oh, gotcha. Hello. Like SMU's playing TCU. I'll tell you what there won't be in the second half of this game: defense. Like there are definitely certain matchups along the way where you can identify that. But things like the transfer portal, quarterbacks changing out, those things are going to impact scoring in a really major way. But head coaches are probably the biggest things just because they are going to impact scheme, tempo, the way you attack, things like that.
Awesome. Thank you.
Jeff, real quick theoretical question when it comes to NFL, which you break down as well. Do you ever look at trends like that? And to the extent you do, how far back do you go?
That's a good question. I usually go back maybe 3, 4, 5 years. In some rivalries, I'll go back 10, 20 years because they have the same head coach. Baltimore is an example. The Steelers are an example. But, I did want to ask Chip a question about college football this week. Not to put him on the spot or anything. We didn't discuss this pre-show. Texas is playing Georgia.
Correct.
Texas is +6. Usually you want to back teams in a rest and revenge scenario. It's worked quite a bit. My model has Georgia -10. What is your take on that game?
I like your model's read on this. I think that number one, if you want to talk about going back and being able to sort of look at history, Steve Sarkisian at Texas has not been great against the very best competition, including, as you just mentioned, 2 losses to the Georgia Bulldogs last year, and games where Georgia didn't even play that great and still found ways to win, both in the regular season and in the SEC championship game. The other thing is I think that Georgia's offense has really clicked into gear. I'm not going to overreact to running it up on Mississippi State and putting a 40 burger there. To me, it's more about how the offensive line has gotten healthy. They've switched the pieces around. Chauncey Bowens has gotten the run game going. And just Gunnar Stockton continues to feel comfortable. In fact, we talked on the Cover 3 podcast on Monday. I think that Georgia offensive coordinator Mike Bobo, who is often criticized by Georgia fans, he's got a long history in Athens, but this is one where I think he does deserve some credit from getting through the injury issues, coming out on the other side. You've got a veteran quarterback who's got the confidence to make big throws down the field. You've got better wide receivers than you've had the last couple of years. The run game is better than it was a year ago. I am with your model. I take Georgia. I'm not scared of the 6.5 or the 6 or the 6.5. I think they can win that game by a touchdown.
And to your point, last year, Quinn Ewers was the quarterback for Texas, not Arch Manning. So it's a different quarterback.
And it's funny because if you say that on August the 29th, that's a reason why you take Texas in the points. You say that on November 11th, you're like, yeah, Quinn was a little bit better than Arch has been, huh?
Yes. Yeah. Thanks, Chip.
That's right.
That's awesome.
All right, so we got to get to, there's more questions. There's a question for you, Chip, on the BYU game, which we're going to get to in a couple minutes, but people are asking for the Splash Sports link. And I do want to read a BetMGM promo that relates to the NHL, which Jeff is about to give a pick out on as well. With BetMGM's hat trick jackpot, you have the chance to win your share of $10,000 in bonus bets. Just place an anytime goal score wager. And if your guy scores 3+ goals during that game, you will win a share of $10,000 in bonus bets. Again, that is a hat trick jackpot promotion courtesy of BetMGM, always making it legendary. Speaking of legendary, this is a really good promo or not promo. This is, well, I guess it's kind of a promo. What I'm about to read, I honestly think you can all sign up for in the next 60 seconds and just kind of be a part of this pick'em contest that the Early Edge and Splash Sports have teamed up to do. It's absolutely free, and you can actually win cash prizes. The top 50 finishers are going to get paid out. Here's what I'm talking about. Week 11 is here, and we've got $1,000 in real cash up for grabs in our free pick'em contest. There's no entry fee and real prizes and bragging rights on the line because we're all going to be in this contest as well, folks, not just you. All you need to do is pick 13 NFL games against the spread for week 11. But there's a little bit of a twist. You'll designate one best pick that's worth double points if you win it. The top prize is $250 in cash, and we're paying out the top 50 finishers. So you don't have to be perfect to win. And again, this is free to register for. Just head to splashsports.com/earlyedge to enter completely free. Again, you guys can do this right now. And before the show is over, you can be entered. And if you want to, you could have already made all of your pick'em picks. So splashsports.com/earlyedge. If you're listening to the audio podcast, go there right now, enter for free, and you can win cash prizes. CLE fan says, welcome to the gun show. Oh, because of the picture. I was like, okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks for acknowledging that.
Yeah, absolutely. It'd be nice to see Claudia, but I just can't see past the
Yeah, Buckets. I guess I'm kind of obscuring the view of you as well. You're on this graphic, though. You're going to be in the contest, right, Buckets? This is going to be kind of like a can we beat Buckets barometer here.
Even if you don't get top 50, the absolute bare minimum is do not lose to me, because I will be making all picks by flipping a coin. Heads as the home team, tails as the away team, just running that through all of them. Don't lose to Buckets. That's your only goal here.
Don't lose to Buckets. If you are already signed up, because I trust that it probably takes, 20, 30 seconds to sign up here, put signed up in the chat for the Splash Sports con. Just put signed up or I'm in or something like that where we know you've already signed up. It says, Nicholas says the link isn't working for him. I know I clicked on it. It was working fine for me, but hopefully somebody else can try that out and make sure it is working. But again, splashsports.com/earlyedge. How about some SportsLine picks before we get to that NHL pick that I've been promoting? Seattle Kraken moneyline -120 says Matt Severance. That's another NHL pick, of course. 76ers moneyline -123, also from Matt Severance. And we got Nicholas Claxton over 17.5 points, rebounds, and assists. That's PRA -117. That one courtesy of Prop Bet Guy. We got to get to a break so that we can hear what Jeff Hochman says about the NHL tonight. And I've got an early NFL pick for you. It's all coming up right after this message from our partners.
Only CBS Sports can bring you big time during the heart of Saturday afternoons. It's big time.
It's big time. It's big time. It's big time.
On CBS and streaming on Paramount Plus.
All right, we're back on the Early Edge, brought to you by BetMGM. Make it legendary. So it looks like the link is working for almost everybody, but if it's not working for you for some reason, just type this in instead of clicking on the link itself. Maybe that was put in the chat or something. Just type in splashsports.com/earlyedge. It'll take you right there, and hopefully you all are already signed up for that pick'em contest. Go ahead, Buckets.
I made my pick, so the link is working. I can drop in the chat as well, but I got my 13 in, so I'm ready.
Wow, Buckets is already done. This is fantastic. Everybody needs to be in this contest because we're going to bring it up. We're going to talk about the top winners, coming up. I guess it would be Tuesday. We'll drop the names of some of the top winners on this show. But I also want to know where I stand versus Buckets. I might lose to Buckets, folks, and that's going to be extremely embarrassing. Jeff Hochman, talk to me about the Ottawa Senators at even money.
Yeah, Dallas Stars at Ottawa Senators, 7 p.m. Eastern. I love the Ottawa Senators, +100 at Sportsline when I put it in last night. It's -120 right now at BetMGM. I still think that's a fair price. Look, this is the Dallas Stars' first road trip to Canada this season. It's never an easy spot for these teams to travel to Canada. There's a lot of things going on. You got to get your passports. You got to go through customs. It's just a long journey. Dallas has won 9 games this season, 8 of which by 1 goal. And they've also won 6 straight games by 1 goal. So they are just sneaking through when they win. Both teams enter this matchup with a -3 goal differential, which is a little bit surprising considering how good these teams are structurally. Shot differential favors Ottawa. They're +27. Dallas is -37. Linus Ullmark, he's going to be in goal for Ottawa. He's had a lot of success against Dallas. He's 2-0 with a 1.46 goals against average, .952 save percentage over the last 3 seasons. Both teams are playing their 3rd game in 4 days. I like the home team in this spot. They get to match up last, if you're not familiar with the NHL, when there is a stoppage of the ice. When there's a stoppage in play, the road team gets to substitute. They have 5 seconds. The home team gets 5 seconds after that to match up. So the head coach gets to see who's on the ice. Oh, I'm going to put this guy on this guy, this guy on this guy. I think Tim Stützle and Drake Patterson are going to have big games. They've been quiet the last 2. If you want a little fun bet, sprinkle a little bit on their anytime goal scorer. I think Stützle is 250, +250, and Patterson is +300 at BetMGM. So let's take the Ottawa Senators, everybody. It's -120 right now. SportsLine members got it at +100 yesterday.
All right. We're taking the Ottawa Senators at even money. We got some questions to get to. I want to give out my pick, but I also want to announce Charlie Kennedy's already in. Steve Allison is already in. We've got a lot of people that are already signed up. So again, if you're listening to the podcast, apparently it only takes about 60 seconds or so to get yourself in there, signed up, and then you can consider making your picks through the week. Maybe one of the picks you're going to want to make is on the Vikings. I like the Vikings a lot this weekend. I've got it at -3 at -105. I actually put it in at -104. Not that there's a huge difference there, but just FYI, that's what the pick says on SportsLine. And I think you can drop this, or you can wait for it to potentially drop to 2.5. Although I personally don't think that's going to happen, but I also don't think it's really going to go to 3.5 in a lot of places. So if you want to be patient and wait for one major book to drop it at 2.5, you're more than welcome to do that. I think this is such a good spot for the Vikings, who have lost 3 out of 4, mind you. But the one win they did have was at Detroit, and they've had a really tough schedule. If you look at the teams they've played, including the Ravens and the Lions over the last month, it just hasn't been good for them. You look at the Bears, they've won 6 out of 7. And I hate to take something away from the Bears here. I mean, they have won these games, but their schedule has been so soft over the last 7 games, and they are barely escaping and beating some of these teams like the Giants, who you could argue they should have lost to, like the Cincinnati Bengals, who you could definitely argue they should have lost to. Meanwhile, the Minnesota Vikings are out here going on the road and beating Detroit, losing to the Ravens at home and some other very good teams. It's a really good spot for the Vikings and their defense specifically to get after Caleb Williams, who again is playing well late, is kind of being an escape artist. Some of that USC stuff we're seeing, he's not going to be able to do that on the road against Minnesota. I think Minnesota actually runs away with this thing. I'm willing to take it at 3, obviously, at close to even money. Again, I think the 2.5 would be an absolute gift, but I think they win by, honestly, I think they win by 7 or more in this game. I think this is a get right spot for the Minnesota Vikings, and it's a come down, back down to earth situation for the Chicago Bears. I know Ben's not going to want to hear me say that, our producer, because he loves everything Chicago Bears. But honestly, I even think he, as sharp as he is, thinks this is probably not the best spot for the Chicago Bears. And Ben, if you want to come on and refute what I had to say before we get to some questions in the recap screen, you're more than welcome to. I'll give you a few seconds to, there it is. Ben, am I wrong?
No, you're not wrong. And my thing with the Bears is, I love the Bears. They're great, and I want them to win. But I am slightly worried that a lot of these wins that they have had they're not necessarily luck, but you can't keep winning games this way. You can't keep playing poor defense and giving up leads and then trying to inch your way back in the fourth quarter. That can only work so many times until you're finally exposed. So I hope the Bears win, but it's tough for me to see this team consistently playing with a lead and not giving anything up and then having to claw their way back every single game. It's not going to work out in the long term.
Exactly. This is just not a good spot for it. Buckets, what happened? What's wrong?
I have Bears plus 2.5 as my best pick for the Splash Sports thing. So don't love what I'm hearing, but I got to stick with it.
Larry Hartstein's in the chat. He says he's in the contest. Mutanda says, Larry, is the contest only this week or will it continue? So I believe the idea for it is for this contest to continue. And again, this is free money that we're giving away along with bragging rights. But the best way to ensure that this contest continues through the rest of the regular season, maybe even through the playoffs, I'm not 100% sure what the plans are. But the best way to ensure that is to make sure we stack it up this week, to make sure that we get as many people in it. So I don't want just you to enter. I want everybody in the SportsLine Discord to be entering. I want your friends who maybe don't even watch this show. I want you to send the link to them and say, hey, this is a free contest. You can win $250 to first place. And you can see how you measure up against you and, of course, some of the experts at SportsLine. So share this link with whoever you know, and let's get everybody in there so that they have to continue it for week 12 and week 13 and week 14 and so on. Let's get to some questions before we get to the recap screen. Chip, I promised that I would get to Kylie Reynolds' question. He says, are we taking BYU minus 4.5 versus editorializing here, garbage TCU?
Thank you for clarifying the editorializing there. I don't know, man. Yeah, like in general, probably. BYU had a bad day. You know, I mean, do any of y'all have older siblings or big cousins? Yep. Yeah, I mean, this was Texas Tech just had his arm pinned behind his back and put his chest on the ground. You know, sat on him, made him cry uncle, made him cry aunt, made him call grandma grandpa. I mean, it's just, you know, you expect that they're going to try to bounce back. TCU is funky, bad play calling, bad execution, really blowing that game to Iowa State. So if you want to take BYU minus 4.5, I would take that before I would take TCU. I think TCU might be careening towards a little bit of a toxic environment there in Fort Worth.
Jeff, did you have something to add there?
Yeah, Brad mentioned that Rupi Hintz is back for the Dallas Stars. While that is true, and he is a great player, I like Ottawa's defensive system against him.
All right.
Also, I went to look it up, Jeff. I did not know. See, here, as a Carolina Hurricanes fan, I never have to look up shot differential because I always know the Hurricanes are near the top of the league.
Oh, yeah, always.
Always, right? So I'm not curious about where they stand. I know where they stand. Dallas, 5-on-5, 32nd in shot percentage.
Yeah, that's not like them. I mean, usually they're right. Yeah, there's something wrong right now with the Dallas Stars. Like, look, they're going to be in the playoffs. But right now, these two teams are pretty much even, and I'm taking the home team. Like I said, Dallas is playing their first game in Canada. It's not a great spot for teams in the United States to travel to Canada for their first time.
Yeah, I mean, the Hurricanes had to play the Stars on their State Fair road trip. And, you know, that's always going to have its own things because of all the trades last season. But I did not realize they were underperforming their talent.
Yeah, they are.
Even as they're winning. But just look under the hood. Things are a little bit different.
They're also missing Duchesne. So that's a big piece missing. But, yeah, they'll be okay. But tonight, we're going to take Ottawa.
Love that.
Couple more questions, and then we're going to get out of here. Zach Kaczynski says, Sia, what do you think about Matty Schmid this week? He's an interesting name this week for the Butterfield Bermuda. That's a good reminder. I think he's okay. He's not going to be on my outright card, but I think he's a really good look, Zach. Tonight, it's me, Jason Sobel, Rick Gaiman, Patrick McDonald, 7 o'clock for the Butterfield Bermuda on this SportsLine YouTube channel. I hit all of the plays last week. It's not going to happen this week as well. I didn't hit the outright, but I almost did at 100-1 with Sami Valimaki. I hit the Sami Valimaki first round leader. I hit both top 40s at plus money. I hit the tournament matchup. And then in round matchups, we had a couple of ties. And then over the weekend, a couple of wins. So
miracle push, Sia. Miracle.
Push. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. That was the craziest push. I was down 4 strokes in that matchup. And it was a 3-ball actually with 2 holes to play. And we get a birdie and then a double bogey and a bogey to make that thing evened out. Jeff Hochman, go ahead.
Thanks, Sia. Yeah, Kylie's asking about the Seattle Kraken. While it's not one that I'm betting, Matt Severance is super sharp, and I wouldn't go against him.
All right, Kylie. Kraken money line says Matt Severance. Buckets. Jay Long says, thoughts on Stockport County money line and under 3.5 goals at plus 145.
So I can't bet that game in the States. The EFL trophy is not something that I am able to bet on, or the Football League trophy. So I didn't even look at these matches. I'd rather say that than try to BS and give out some answer here. It's something I haven't looked at, so I don't have a take on it.
All right. Good answer
great
there.
England or Alabama. Is Stockport County a professional team in England or a high school football team in Alabama?
Yeah.
Who knows? And
I don't.
I could show you photos of their fans, and you might not be able to tell either. You know?
I that's the thing. I felt real like normally I don't know a ton of soccer stuff, but in this case, I had no idea like where we were with Stockport County. Go ahead, Buckets.
I'd like to end the last thing I'll say the show with 13 words, if that's okay with you, Sia.
Go.
Panthers, Texans, Chargers, Bears, Bills, Packers, Steelers, Cardinals, Seahawks, Chiefs, Ravens, Lions, Raiders.
That's the picks for the Splash Sports contest. Again, splashsports.com/early edge gets you into that contest. Free money and free to enter. Last question, real quick. Chip, I don't know if you have anything on this game. Louisville versus Kentucky tonight.
Yeah, I saw this dance all the way out to 6.5 at more than 2 possessions. Give me Kentucky. Pat Kelsey 0-2 against Big Blue Nation. I know they're playing at home. Louisville's got an awesome team. It's going to be a wild up and down style game. But in that style of game, I would gladly take the 6.5. I just find it, I think Kentucky's good enough that it would be remarkable for them to just get beat by 12. And so if I think I'm going to have a bite at this late, give me the dog.
Farzad says, Buckets, you're going 13-0. So congratulations. Farzad is very sharp, so he's probably right. Speaking of going undefeated, let's see how we do on tomorrow's recap screen, but let's recap it right now. Vikings -3. Of course, that one's not until Sunday. I really like this one. Again, it's possible that a major book drops this to 2.5. I don't think it's super likely, though. I'll take the -3. Kent State Akron, first half under 23.5, -107, says Chip Patterson. Of course, that game is tonight. And also tonight in college basketball, Duke Army under 150.5 at -105. Women's UCL, we've got, am I going to pronounce this wrong, Buckets? Is it Lyonnais versus Wolfsburg? Both teams to score -110? Mm-hmm. All right, thank goodness. And the Ottawa Senators, that's easy to pronounce. Money line, even money, says Jeff Hochman. We've got a couple of sports line picks, actually a few sports line picks. Seattle Kraken money line -120 from Matt Severance. And Severance also has the 76ers money line -123 in the NBA tonight. Speaking of the NBA tonight, Nicholas Claxton over 17.5 points and assists at -117. That one courtesy of Prop Bet Guy. Matla Crusher says, great show as usual. You love to see that. Zoom71 says, hammer the like. I will tell you, Zoom Z71, thank you for saying that. The earlier you hammer the like, the better it is for the show. So hammering it now is awesome. But if you're already in here and it's like, 10:02 or something, go ahead and hammer the like right away, because that's always going to help with the algorithm and things of that nature. And also reviewing this podcast over at Spotify or Apple, wherever you get your podcast, that's also going to help. Katie Taylor, have a great day. And thank you to all the veterans. That's a perfect way to close the show. Thank you, Katie Taylor. But of course, when Buckets is on, he has to close the show, Katie. So Buckets, go ahead.
I'm going to go 13-0 in the Splash Sports Pick'ems.
You know the law.
Yeah, you know the law.
That's it.